Welcome to MacroCode. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we are going to proceed with our documents management system. So as you can see, we are going to continue with episode 15 of our documents management system. So for those who are watching our videos for the first time and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. So this is our code. So let me just launch the application so that you're able to see how the app looks like. So you're going to build this particular application and ensure that you're able to incorporate some of the feedback that you have and have all these updates, and as well as complete some of the things that we have not yet done. So this is how our app looks like. So we have our electronics document management system here. We have our charts, so we are using iCharts. We have the shared documents, document categories, monthly documents, and we also have some analysis here. So we have the document request, so you can request a document. As you can see, these are file requests. You can do a new, select the department, select the extension, the document type, request from, and date. Then you select the comments. Document, then you can say add document, then you can be able to add the document, and you have, so these are some of the requests that you do. So the request has to be approved, so you can see here it is awaiting approval. So we're going to do some of the approval process today and see if we can be able to do much on that. We also have the active document, so you can create a new document so until you attach. So you can see here you can attach the document. We also have clients, so you can add clients, so you can see active statuses. You also have folders, you can create folders, and you can also view. So if you click view, then you'll see the folder structure, and if you click open, then you'll see the subfolders within that particular system. So each folder can have a subfolder, main folder, so it depends on how you'll be creating your folders. And as you can see, if you come back to folders, if you add new folder, you can select the parent folder here, or that is, you can create a parent folder, and you can have a subfolder being also a parent folder to another folder. So it depends on how you can you'll be able to create that. So if we go to if we go here, let me just check. Ensure that you are able to let's just go to system security. So on system security, we have the audit trails. So everything that you are doing on our application, we have the audit trails. So you can see the full name, the audit type, the table that was affected, the timestamp, and the primary key. So all the audit types here, you can see this is added. And if we increase this, you can see we have the modified on, and you can also have deleted on. So if you're watching our video and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We notice 90% of you guys are watching our videos and you haven't subscribed. Then we also have users. So on users, you have the email address, all these details, and you can create a new user. So yesterday we were trying to add the ethnicity, country, and the password. This should be actually a drop down, and also this should be a drop down. So we'll be doing that. So we also have department, countries, system codes, and all these other details. So if you go to our code, let me just zoom in. So as you can see here, we are going to have. So let me just go to users. So here you can see we were able to remove this. So this was a string, and if you go to application user, we added these particular options just to ensure that this is a foreign key pulling from the ethnicity, and this is also countries pulling from the country table. So what I want us to do now is we should go to the view, that is users, then create. So here we should be able to now provide those details and ensure that we can be able to manage the users. So one thing is we need to go to, just a minute. So we can go to users. So you see here, we have the ethnicity, and this one we should change to ensure that we are able to have this as a drop down. So I'll just pick, for example, and let's say client. I think we have one of the drop down option, or even let's say folders. So something like this. So you can copy this, and if we go to users, I'll replace this. So here I'll be having ethnicity ID. So let's just ensure application user, we should change this to ethnicity. So this will say int, and you can say ethnicity ID. Then if we come here, we'll just come here and we'll say this is ethnicity ID, this is ethnicity ID, and this also should be ethnicity ID. So what we need to check is, you can see here, for example, on our ethnicity, this is where we are adding our values. This is where we are going to pull the data from. And we need to ensure that these view items here actually we are getting the list of ethnicity from the ethnicity table. So so if we go to users here on create, so you can see here we have the view data. We are getting ethnicity, this is system code details, and we are getting them from there. So ensure that the view data is actually the same as what we have on our users, which is here. So the same case will apply to countries. So I'll also do here countries, and we need to also do country ID. So if we go to application, so this will be int. I'll zoom it. So this will be country ID, and if we go here on our users, I'll change this to country ID. This is country ID. This is also country ID. So here we should say select ethnicity. So we should change that to ethnicity, and also this should be select country. So what we need to ensure is, let me just check. So we need to ensure that what we have here is a drop down of all the list of countries, and also this particular view data is also based on what we have on our controller. Then all these country ID should also represent what we have on our model. So that is ensure that we don't have this mismatching, and the country ID that we have here, so should also be what will be the same as to what we have on our controller. So you can see here we have this is a country ID, and it should be pulling data from the countries table. So if I'll pick this and I'll go to users, I'll say here country ID, this is country ID, and here I'll also check. I'll just come here, and another thing, I should also be having roles. So I want to have our users on our users table here. We should be having the role ID, but I think we'll be able to see that. So I want us, whenever you create a user, you should you should be having a role. So you should be assigning users roles when you are creating them. So I'll come here and say role name. So I'll come and say here role name. Then this is you can say this is string. Then you can say this is role. So this is we'll say role ID. So once we have this, then we can have it on our users. So I need to also have the role here. So I'll have my role ID here. Just copy this there. Then you can say this is a select role. So if we do that, then you should ensure also what we have on our controller is the same. So it is pulling from what you see here on on roles. So this is all the roles that we are using should be coming from the roles details. So that's one thing that you need to ensure that we are doing. So this role ID should match what we have on when you're creating users. It will be matching what we have here. So, and you can see here we have the role. So if we launch this application, so let's just launch for the first time and see what will be there. So if you're watching our video for the first time and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We notice 90% of you guys are watching our videos and you haven't subscribed. So if you're one of them, please consider subscribing. So if I just launch our app and we go to security, then users, then you will notice that when we click add new, we should be having a drop down of the values that we are doing. So for example, you can see we have here ethnicity, and it's actually a drop down. We also have the role name that we've just added. It's also a drop down. And if we try to select it, you can see here the role name is giving us the values, and all these are being pulled from the list of roles. Also the countries, it's one of them. So if you just do this, you can see here we have a list of countries. So this drop down is being pulled from the list of countries, and we'll be having all the countries that we have in our system. So that is one major thing. So every drop down now will be pulling data based on the tables that we've highlighted, and it will be getting from the respective tables. So that is it. So here now we will be pulling from the countries list, as you can see. But we have one thing. So if you check on our ethnicity, it is getting values from all the drop-down options, which are not necessarily ethnicity. So you can see here we have the male, we have female, we have active, inactive, documents type. We have here some items which are not necessarily ethnicity. So what we need to do, we need to filter and ensure that we have ethnicity details on our drop-down option. So what we need to do, we need to go to system codes. Then we create ethnicity code. So we'll say here ethnicity. I'll say ethnicity. Ethnicity. I'll just do here ethnicity. Then I can say here ethnicity. Then I'll add that. Then if we go to system codes, I'll create new. Then I'll pick ethnicity. Then here I can say I'll say here Kalenjin. Then this is, I'll say here Kalenjin. I'll add the ethnicity. I'll pick another one. I'll say here I'll say here. So these are some of the ethnicities that we have here. Then I'll say here Turkana. I'll add here, I'll say Kamba. Then I'll say this is Kamba. Then I'll add another one. I'll say this is I'll say this is Mijikenda. So I'm just adding some Mijikenda. This is also Mijikenda. Then I can add. So then what we need to do, we need to go to our controller users. Then here I'll just say dot include. Then I can do here x dot code. So this one should be system code. Then I'll say here dot where. So you need to filter. So I'll say x equals to system code dot code equals to. So remember the ethnicity that we've just done. So you should come here, and if we go to, so if we search here ethnicity, so this is what we need to have. So let me just go to code and say here ethnicity. So this is what we need to have. So you should be filtering based on the code. So I'll come here and filter this code. Then I'll say system.code, and this should now give us, so what should happen is, this should now give us all the system code. So you can see here, we've filtered now the parent code, which is where the code is ethnicity, and it will give us all the system codes. So this will ensure that we don't have any filters apart from what we've done. So as you can see here, this is now what we have, and it will give us all the options. So all the details that has been tied to ethnicity is what we'll receive. So if we go to our app now and go to, let's just go to users. So if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So we just go here, and as you can see, so let's just check so this is ethnicity. We need to relaunch it. I think we have not relaunched it. So that should be okay now. So let's just relaunch our app. So you notice 90% of you guys are watching our videos and you haven't subscribed. So if you're one of them, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. I'll just go to users. Then if I go to new, you'll see here we have now the country. We have the list of countries. We have ethnicity. So as you can see now, ethnicity, we have the list of ethnicity that we've just provided. So these are the list of data that we keyed in. So we have Turkana, Kamba, and Mijikenda. And this is now the ethnicity details that we have. So if we go, so that is one thing that we need to have done in our application. So we should be able now to save this data. So let's just try to see if we can save this. So here, if we say, let's just go to our create, and here we'll now say here ethnicity ID equals to ethnicity ID, then country ID equals to country ID. So this is what is there, but also here we need to ensure that let me just pull what we have on ethnicity here. So it's the same thing that should be here. Now, then we need to supply our VM dot role ID. We also need to say here VM dot, I'll say here VM dot country ID. Then we should say here VM dot ethnicity ID. So that is it. Now, the next thing is let's try to save one user, which will now be having the updated details that we have. That is the ethnicity ID and the country ID. So I'll go here and we can say users. Then I'll say here add new. I can say this is test. So I'll say this is test admin at gmail.com. Then I can have this as the same email. I'll say this is test admin, and say here account. Then you can say here testing address. So that's one of the address that we have. Then here I'll do my password. So I'll provide the details there. Then another thing that we need to do is so let's just check here. So we can select the ethnicity. So I'll just select here Kalenjin. Country, I'll select one of the country. Then we can also do, and say this is Somali. Role, I'll select the role here. Then password, I'll provide my password. So if I say add user, so you can see our details is not being saved. So we can do that. So let's just check why. So if we come here and provide that, I'll do this. Let me try to say here save add. So you can see here we have the ID, that is ethnicity ID, we have the country ID. So if I proceed, try to add result, it says succeeded. So it has actually succeeded. Then if we proceed, it should redirect us to index. Yes. So you can see our user details has been added. I think we are not provided some details there, so that should be fine. So what we need to do now, so you can see we can add our users, but I want us also to check. So if we go to our database, so we are using SQL Server. So I'll just open our SQL Server here, then go to Electronic Documents Management System, and we should be able to see one of the record that we've just entered. So, and that is under SPNet users. I'll come here, and within this particular section, then we should be able to see now the data and the users that we just provided. So as you can see here, we have now the ID, that is the country and ethnicity ID. We have the ID there. Now, if you go to users, as you can see here, we have the username, email address, first name. So this one we can reduce it maybe to full name. So let's just go there and change that. So I'll go here to users. I'll go to users, and I can say this is full name. Then I'll remove the middle name. Then here I'll do full name. Remove the last name, middle name. And to get full name, you can see here we are doing interpolation. So you can see you have the first name. So this is what we have here. You can see here we have the first name, we have the middle name, and we also have the last name. So that is now what will give us the full name. So as simple as that. Then what we need to do is, whenever we come to our users here, you might want to display the country. So I'll just remove this breakpoint. Then here, display the country, I'll also do dot include. I can say x dot, I'll say country, and I can also copy the same thing, and I can do here ethnicity. So I have my ethnicity here. So this one, you can see we now have ethnicity and country. So this will give us the respective details about what we have entered. Now, if I go back to our view, I'll just come here and say, for example, I might want to display the country. So I'll come and say here country. So if you're watching our video and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. So I'll say country, then dot name. Then here I'll also do country. So that is our table. I'll say country. So if we relaunch our app now, we should be able to see the country details, and that will ensure that we have the details that we wanted. So we'll now be having the full name. If we go here and we say users, so you can see now we have the username. We now have the full name here. You can see this full name, and we also will display the full name for those who have the last name and middle name. Then you'll also have the country. So you can see here we have the country, and these other details we had not provided them. That's why it's missing. So that's okay. So if we do that, so you can see you have the countries there. Now I want us to, so we've been able to display the users and added now this drop down. Instead of typing them, we are now pulling them from the respective tables. Now there is one thing that I want us to do. So we've not, in our table, you realize that we don't have a role here. We've not added a role ID. So which means every user that you are creating, they should be having a role. So one thing that we need to do also, we need to come to our application user, and we need to introduce now the role ID. So each user should be having one role at a time in the system. I'll just come here and say string, and I'll say here role ID. Then this will be coming from roles. So you can say here application role, then this one should be a role. So remember, we are adding two columns in our database. That is one column in our database, and this is the role. So as we said, this role is a foreign key, and it is pulling data from roles. So that's why we have this. So we'll be having the role ID and then the application role. We had extended the table identity role, and these are so this is how it looks. So as you can see here, we are extending this identity role, and we included description and created on. So that's how the table now looks like. Now, to effect these changes to the database, we need to add migration. So I'll just stop our app, and we need now to say here, tools, NuGet package manager console, and we can say here add migration. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So I'll say this is application user updates. I'll just do that, then press enter. So that should give us, that should generate our migration file, and we should be good to go. So let's just wait. And as you can see, application is an existing migration. So we cannot use the same migration name. So I'll just use the same. I'll say application user role updates. Press enter, then we should be having that. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also share with us some of the feedback that you have. So you can see this is our migration file, the way it has been generated, and it doesn't have much here. So you can see we have is actually adding this particular column, that is the role ID, and it is adding to this particular table, and it is of type nvarchar 50. Nullable is also true. It's also creating an index. So you can see here we have an index being created, and it is also a foreign key. So you can see it's a foreign key from the SPNet roles table. So that is it. So to update that, we now come here and do update database. Update database. So this will now translate these tables, that is changes into our database. So we have two most important commands that you will need to do. So we have this one, which is update database, and you also have now the add migration. So those two important commands will now help you to update the columns automatically into the tables. So you can see here it has created our migration history, and it has updated our column. So it has added a new column to the database. Now, if you go to table users, SPNet users, you should be able to see now a new column. If you come here, you should see here we have a new column called role ID, and you can see it's actually null. We don't have any user currently in the system with the role ID. So the same to the others fields that we had added. Others are null until only those users that we've added and have tied it to a drop-down value. But the other ones, we have the first name, middle name, last name, the address, and created on, which is a timestamp, as you can see. So I think previously we were not adding this. That's why you can see we have these values here. Now, if I proceed now to our controller, we should now be able to update our controller and ensure that here we can add an ID for role. I'll just say here role ID, and this is a role ID. So our role now should be saved, And let's just create a new user and see how that looks like. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So I'll just go to our ASP.NET users. Then we'll add a new role. So I'll say here new role, new user. Then I'll say super admin test. Then we'll say here at Gmail. We'll say here at gmail.com. Then we also have so I'll copy this same username and have it here. So our username will be the same. Then you can say this is super. So we'll say this is super admin. You can say here testing. Then you can say this is okay. I'll say here 07. I'll just provide some numbers. Then here we have ethnicity. Our ethnicity is can say here Kalenjin. Country, we can say here Kenya updated. Then this is the role. I'll say here system developer. Then I'll provide the password. So I'll just say that one. Then if I say add user, so let's check on our database. So you should be having one user with the role ID. So as you can see now, we have one user with a role ID. So if you check on our table, so this is our table. You can see the role ID here. Some of the users have null, but we have one user with a value, which also has a country and ethnicity. So that means we can now display that user in our application with the roles that they've added. So let's just go to our user. And here we can also do something here. We can say include. Can say this is a role. We'll just do that. So here simply we are getting all the details of every user that we are pulling from the users table. We are getting the details from the table that is the country they are in, the ethnicity that they are in, and the role. So you realize that we are storing only the IDs of the country, the also ID of the ethnicity, and also ID of the role. So that's why we want to get the description and the name. So without this, then you'll not be able to retrieve all the details of that user. So if I go to index, then I can say, apart from the country, I can say here role. So that is the role of the user. Then here, just before I'll come here and do also role, and then I'll say here description. I'll say role name. So that should be fine. So let's relaunch our app and see. So I'll just relaunch our app here, and now we'll be having the details of the role of the user with their role. So we should be able to have all those details. So if I go to users, where is it? Let's go to users. Then you can see here now, I'm able to see a user with one of the role. So you can see here, we have the country, others are null until we have this one. Then we have all these users with null roles, but we have one that we've just created. It is a system developer. So that's how you display the details. So as simple as that. So that is one thing that I wanted us to do. But now I also wanted us to have to do one thing. I want us to have a profile. So that means every user that we are going to create in our application will be having rights and permissions. So we need to ensure that every user that we are going to create in our application, and they need to access certain areas, they'll be having certain permissions, and we are not allowing them to do everything in the application. So what I want us to do is I want us to create a table let's create a table that will be storing a user with their respective permissions in the system. So every time they need to access the system, they will be tied to a certain permission. But before that, I wanted us to create some modules so that we're able to tell users certain modules that they need to access. So I want us to create a table. So let's just come here, and we are going to create a table called system profile. So that is a profile of our application. So we'll say system profile. So this is a profile. So I'll add that. So this is a table. Then we can borrow from the user activity. So the user activity. Then here we'll have ID. Then we can say name, and we can say here. So that is the profile name. Then I can say here int null, and I can say this is profile ID. Then this profile ID is a foreign key from the same table. So you can have, so here we'll be storing the modules and sub-modules of our system. So that we're able to control users, the modules and the sub-modules that they can have. So here I'll say we'll be having, so you can do public. You can see, you can be having now system profile, and we'll be having sub profiles, which is actually a collection. So you can see we've introduced this. Then we can also have the, in case you want to order, so you can do here public int. You might want to have an order, you can say here order number. So this will be in case you want to order our profiles based on either descending or ascending order, or how, depending on how you want to display them. So you can have that there. So here you can also have display name. So I'll just do, so you can see that is a profile name. I'll also have this is you can say, so this will be parent profile, and say this is parent profile, and that's fine. Then this table, we need to add it to our application, our migration table. I'll just come here and say, actually this should be system, not system. Let's go to our model, rename this to system, so that we don't get confused. I'll just come here, and this will be system profile. Then if you go to our application, our migrations, this should be system, and this will be system profiles. So that is it. Now we also need to create another table, which we are going to call it role profile, whereby we'll be tying the role, you see the modules and the sub-modules of the system with the role. So each role will be having certain areas to access. So, and as we've seen, we are attaching users to roles. So we are not attaching the rights, we are attaching rights to roles, and we will not be attaching rights to users. So I'll create here a class. I'll call it role profile, and I'll have my user activity. Then here I'll also have my ID. Then I'll say here role ID. This should be, role ID should be from the system role. So I'll say here application role. Then this should be role. Then we'll also be having the profile ID. So each role will be accessing certain profile. Assuming you are an accountant, then you'll be accessing certain documents. Assuming you are an IT administrator, you'll be accessing certain documents. So all the administrators or system administrators will be sharing the same role. So that means if a user is assigned to a role, then you've been able to manage the sub-modules and the modules that they can access. So here I'll say this is a profile ID. So here this should be int, and then we will say this is a profile. So this is application role, then this is a profile ID, this is profile. So I think that's fine. Then here I'll go to application DB context. Then I'll be having my profiles. I'll copy this, go here, and I can have my profile. So that is my profile, and here I'll say profiles. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So for this particular bit that is managing the profiles and the roles, we've been able to add two tables. So we have the role profiles and the system profiles. So what I need to do now, we need to add migration. So I'll just come here, NuGet package manager console. Then I'll just say CLS. Then I can add, I'll say add migration. Then I can say system permissions. That is more of permissions, system permissions. So I'll add migration. Then our migration file will be generated and we should be good to go. So let's just proceed. As you can see, this is fine. Then I'll come here and say update database. Then our database will be updated and it should be good to go. So let's see. So we'll now be having two additional tables in our database. That is the role profiles. So as you can see, everything is okay, and actually we've been able to create a new table. So you can see what it is doing. So we have a table called role profiles, and these are some of the columns. So these are actually SQL statements, and as you can see how it looks like. So these are some of the things that it's being done. So that's for role profiles. We also have another table for system profiles. So you can see these are system profiles, and we have some of these tables here, columns, I mean. So this table will have some of these columns, and we should be good to go. Now, if you go to the database and refresh, we'll be having now the roles profiles, and you'll also be having the system. Where is it? Let me just check. We have the role profile and then system profiles. So that is it. So we have the role profile and system profile. So what I want us to do, we need to scaffold and have those details. So I'll just go to controllers, then new scaffolded item. Then we can MVC controller with views using entity framework core. Then I'll select our model. I'll say here. So these will be, we need to have here which kind of so we'll say here role profile. Then we'll select our application DB context. Then we'll have our role profiles. So if I click add, then it will scaffold some of the. It will give us a complete CRUD operation. So if you're watching our video for the first time and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We notice 90% of you guys are watching our videos and you haven't subscribed. So if you're one of them, please do so. So as you can see, this is our application. It has been, so here we have our controller. We have, let's see, we have the index. We have all these details. Then we also have the view. That is, we go back here, we should see role profiles, and we have the index as well. So we should also scaffold the other one, that is the system profile, new scaffolded item. Then I'll say MVC controller with views. Then I can also come here and do here system profile. This is the controller name. You can change it, but I usually find it easy to leave it similar to the name of the model. So I'll just leave it that way. Then I'll proceed. So So I'll just come, that's fine. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing as our code is generating. You can also tell us where you are watching from, and we'll really appreciate. So just comment down below, tell us where you are watching us from, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. So you can see here we have our system profile, we have the index, and all these details. So if I just go to our shared layout, just go to shared layout, and then we can add that particular option. Let me just come here. I'll just come here, and we need to add that particular. So under system security, we can now add some sub modules. So I'll say here we have what we call can say role system user roles. So actually we'll call these user roles. I'll call it user roles. Then here we'll be pulling from the role profiles controller. So I'll just copy that there. Then I'll also have my system. So I'll call this system profile. So I'll come and paste it there. Then we'll be having this as system profile. So we'll have this as system profile, and that's fine. So if we launch our app now, we should be having new sub modules, and we should be good. So if let me just relaunch our app. So as you can see, if we go to security, we should now be having we should be having two sub modules that we've introduced. We have the user roles, and we also have the system profile. So these are the two additional modules that we've added, and these will be storing mostly the user roles. So users will be assigned to roles, and also that roles will be having the permissions. So I think this is not user roles. Actually, we've done this should be user permissions. I think we have done it here. So let me just update this here, and we need to remove this. So that should be user permissions. It's not user roles. You already have the user roles. So if we refresh that, let's go to our app, and now we will be having two things. So that is the user permissions and the system profile. So the system profile is more of, it will be talking more of the task. So it will be having the dashboard. So if you have the permission to access the dashboard, if you have the permission to access the file request, the documents, the clients, the folders, system audit trails, users, roles, and also some parts of system administration. So that is how we'll be managing the application. So we'll also be controlling if you have the permissions to see some of the dashboards here. So it depends on how we will want to control that. So let's go to user permissions. So as you can see, this is how it looks. We have the role, the profile, and created on, created by, modified by, and modified on. So let's adopt the normal stylings that we have. So I'll just go to, that is under index. I'll borrow from the various styles that we've been using. So I'll just copy here, and I'll say here on the roles profile. So I'll paste this here. Then this one will be, can call this user permissions. User permissions. Then here we'll say this is user. I'll call this user permissions. So user permissions, and then so this is user permissions. Then these will be, I can say this is, I can remove created by and created on. You can say here created by and created on. Then let me copy this. I'll just come here and copy these two. I'll say here on the profiles, you can say here you can edit. So these two headers. Then you can also copy the, I just need these styles here. You can say here index. Then I can have this as and delete this. Then here, instead of created by, I can have your full name, ID. Then this is edit, this is view. Then the role, I can have the role name. The profile, I can also have the profile name, and that is fine. We'll be having role, profile, created on, and created by. This is role, profile, created on, created by, and edit. Then we need to close these divs tags. I'll have this. I'll copy here and paste it. So let me just do something small. So I'll come here. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel and you're watching some of our videos, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So tell us also where you are watching from. We'll really appreciate. So let's just launch our app and see how it looks like. I'll try to launch this particular application and see how the app looks like. So I'll just come here. I'll just do that. So just a minute. Okay, so this is our, so here as you can see we have our, let's go to our user profiles. So on the user permissions, so this is how it looks like. So here we have the role, the profile, created on, created by, edit and view. And on the system profile, so this is also how it looks like. So we also need to update it to look a bit more appealing. So we'll just do the same thing. So I'll copy here from the table row, go to system profiles, then under index. Then I'll update this to, I'll also update this here. So here I'll have my, so this will be system profile. Then this will be system profile. So then here I'll just do the same. So this will be profile. I'll say here name. I'll also have created by, I'll do here full name, and I'll remove this. Then here also we'll have we'll remove the created by. Then I'll also copy what we have here. I'll have edit and view. Then in profiles, I'll copy this here. Same case for the roles. That is, I'll copy this, edit, delete. I'll have it under the roles. We'll have it here. So I'll paste this. Then we'll be having edit view. And we need to close our tags. So we need to close our tags. And the only way to do that is just to do here this way. I'll just close this. Close our div tags and we should be good to go. So if we check, so we have one. That's fine. So if I update our app and we go back here, so that is how our app looks like. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So as you can see now, we have here an option to add a new profile. And this is how our profile looks like. So we can change this particular form also to look more appealing. So I'll just go and borrow what we had done in, for example, under countries. And we have this particular form. I'll just copy this, go to our system profile, create, then I'll paste it here. Then you can say this will be add new profile, and we'll say this is add new profile. Then this will be having div. You can do a call md6. So let me stop this. We can do here also md6. Then this is also md6. Then created on, created by, all these are system generated. So I'll also add this div tag here. Then I'll close this. So I'll also remove this list here. And for our create, I'll try to have a space. So we can have here a button. So if I go to system here, I'll update this. And you can say add profile. So if I format our app, so this is how it looks. So we need to close some tags. And this is how it looks. So we have the profile ID. But now, if we launch our application, so let's just launch and see how it looks like. We should be able to see a form with only 2, 3. So we have 3 3 fields. So let's just see. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. So I'll go to system profile and I say new. You can see you have the add new profile. You have the profile name. Parent profile is a drop down, and you also have the order number, which is actually a number. You can see. So this parent profile, it can be nullable. So here I'll just come here and say, here I'll do option, and you can say value. Then you can say here, can have that. And I'll close this. I'll say select. Select. I'll say here select profile. I'll say select profile. That's fine. If I update it, then we'll be having our select profile here. That's one thing. So I wanted us to do one thing. So we should be able to add now profile. But before that, let's go to our system profile. So for users, we should display, we don't need the created by view data. So we should remove this. And then for system profile, we should be displaying not ID, but name. So we should replace our ID here with name. I'll also remove this binding here. Remove the view data here as well. And then have this here. Then for the user profile, I'll just come here and say if this is not null, this is not null, then I'll have that. But I'll also want to ensure that we are able to track the audits. Remember, our application, every time you save data, you need to supply the user ID. So you need 3 things. So what we need whenever we are saving details, we need the user ID. So this is the person who is logged in, the timestamp when the record is created and who created. And for changes, we need to supply for audits, we need to supply the user ID who created that particular record. So I'll need this here, and we can go to, I'll just go to system profiles, and here I'll actually update. So I'll just say system profile.created on. So here, then I'll also supply the user ID to save changes. So as you can see now, we have some important things that we've done here. So we are now able to know the user is logged in. We have the created on, that is the timestamp when the record was created, and the created by, we pass the user. So this method here is giving us the user ID of the person who is logged in. Then for our audit trail, we are supplying this on save changes. We were able to override this. So we are supplying the user ID so that it is able to tell us who created what and at what point. So if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So let's try to create a record and see how that looks like. So let me just launch our app. So we'll really appreciate if you subscribe on our channel, and ensure that you're able to share the video, comment down below, and tell us what you think. So I'll also come to system profile. Then here I'll say new. I'll come here and say file request. So this is a module, and then this is the parent module. Then I'll say 1. If I add, you can see our file request has been added. This is the profile name. It's the parent. The order number is 1, created on, and you also have created by. So we should also ensure that when we save our record, we have the success message. So I'll pass this here. Come here and have it here. So I'll just come and do it here. So I'll say here system profile details created successfully. So that's fine. So you can also add others. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So we'll really appreciate. So Let's just launch our app. So here we'll be having our system profile. Then I'll just say add new. So next is documents. I'll also have this as a parent folder. Then this is one. I'll add that. I'll also create another one. I'll say clients. It's a parent folder. I'll say one. I'll also add folders. You can see here we have folders. The parent folder, you can see here one. Then we now have something like system security. So if I add this, I'll say system security. Then this is also a parent folder. I'll do one. But now under system security, I have audit trails. So I'll say here audit trails, and it's part of system security. I'll say here 2. Then I can also add another one. I'll come here and I say another sub module, which is users. I'll call it system users. Then I'll say it's under system security. I'll say 3. I'll also add another one, and I can say user roles. User roles. That is user roles. And this is under system security. I'll say here 4. I'll create another one, and this should be user permissions. So this is user permissions. Under system security, I'll say this is 3, say 5. I can also add another one here. I'll say system profile. System profile. Then it is under system security, and I can do here 6. Then I can add. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So we can also add another one called system administration. Then this is a parent folder. This is 1. I'll also add, so we have some sub modules. So I'll say departments. Then this is under system administration. This is 2. I'll also add countries. I'll say this is under system administration. This is 3. I'll also add system codes. I'll do this is under system admin. I'll do here 4. Then we have system code details. I'll say here system code details. Then this is under system admin. I'll say this is 5. I'll also add system settings. So we've not added that particular module. So if we go to now under security, then we say system profile. So you should be able to see this. We have the audit trails, that is the sub module. And for those with the profile name, we have these are actually parent profile. So you'll see profile name. So this we should call it profile, parent profile. So if we go to index, that is system profile, then here instead of saying this should be actually profile ID. So you should replace this with profile ID. So this one. Then if we update this, it should change our app now to, you can see here we now have profile ID. So we now have 2 things. So we have the profile name, which can either be a module or a sub module. So these are module or sub modules. Then if it is a sub modules, then it will be having the parent profile. So you can see here we have the system administration, and we also have the system administration. So countries, departments are actually under system administration. Audit trails and others are under system security. So we'll be controlling our application based on how that is based on modules and even sub-modules. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So that is a simple process. So the next thing is on user permission. So you can see now we have user permissions here, and this is a list of permissions that we should be doing. So here we have new. So this is where you can see these are all permissions that we should be adding. We have these permission, and you also have, these are actually roles, and you have the profiles. So the profiles are actually the sub-modules and the modules that we've just created. So let's change this UI to look better. I'll just go to roles. I'll copy what we have here. And if we go, I just want to ensure that we have the same styling. So I'll paste it here. Then we'll say add new permission. So this will be permission. Then here, we should be doing here, so this is called MD6. And I'll do the same thing here. We should be having, I think, 2 fields only. I'll remove the created on and created by, and we are going to adopt the same approach. And just copy this as well. Then I'll go here and I'll replace this. So I'll have, say, add permission. This will say now assign permission. So if you're watching our video until this particular point and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down. So we notice 90% of you guys are watching our videos and you haven't subscribed. So I'll also paste this here, format this, and it should be good. We should be good to go. So as you can see now, this will be saying here add new permission. But now on the role, if we go to the controller, we should not be having the view data for created on and modified on. That is not the case. We should be having here the name. The role also, we should be having the name. Then here we should remove the bindings, as you can see. Then we should also remove this. We should be having only the profile and the role ID. Then this one we should be having here the name, and also this one should be the name. So just a minute. Okay, so let's proceed. So here we have, so we need to have a timestamp here. So on our roles, we should actually check the roles. If we say SPNet user roles, we should be having the name. So this is the name of the name of what we are going to display. So we are going to display this. So the same case. So if we go to our code, we should, what we had done before on system profiles, here we should have the same thing. So we should just go to role profiles, and here we can we'll also say here if this is not null. So we are going to use view models here, so don't worry about how I'm doing them. Then here we'll say for profile you have created on and created by. So we said we need to ensure that we are tracking the person who is creating the records. So here, as you can see, we have the user ID. So this is the logged in user. We have the timestamp when the record was created, and you also have the created by, we are supplying this user ID. Then if we go down here, we should be able to pass the user who created that particular record. So we were able to override the save changes, and our save changes actually requires the user ID. So, and the essence of this is because we want to ensure that we are tracking our audit trails without much hassle. So if you go to, so you also need to pass the message, success message. So we have this temp data. So I'll just come and have it here. So I'll have it here. Then I'll say user permission detail, user permission details created successfully. So if you go back to our SPNet users, so here on the roles, we are having these includes. So you can see here, we have for the created by, we have a profile, and you also have the role. So let's just launch our app and see. So let's confirm our create by. We have add new permission. We have the role and profile. So that's fine. Let's relaunch this and see how it looks like. So if you're watching our video for the first time and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So let's just check. Let's just check. So we have our application here. So if we go to user permissions, so this is how it looks. So I'll come here and say add new, and you can see now I have my roles. So we can now assign roles to our system tasks. So you see these are some of the tasks that we have. We can say for accountant or ICT officer, they can access file request, and we say assign. But now it is a total, as you can see, it's actually an headache. If you say, for example, ICT officer has to access the file request, they also have to access documents, same role. So it's not user friendly. So we might need an option of us actually kind of maybe checking, having a checkbox. Then you can check every module or sub-module that the user is able to access. So you can see this is the role. It's the same role, ICT officer, but they're accessing different system modules or sub-modules. But this approach of doing this is not user-friendly. So I think we are going to change this and ensure that we are able to provide a very comprehensive and an easy way to do this. So for today, I think I'm going to leave it there for today. Just we've done the profile, the user permissions. We are able to assign roles to subtasks, and you have the sub-system profile, which is actually the module or sub-module. Then we have our dashboard. So we are going to proceed from there. So if you're watching our video and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing, like the video, and also comment down below. So that is it, and stay safe. Bye.